seconds in any event.
Do you believe that Vladimir Putin is sitting in his office right now in the Kremlin, laughing at what those on the other side of the aisle are doing, and believing that those on the other side of the aisle are useful idiots helping?
Objection. I have a point of order.
The lady will state her point of order.
I have a point of order. According to the rules, and the rules of this committee and the House rules, we cannot attribute derogatory names to our colleagues or motives to our colleagues. And I believe the gentleman said those on the other side of the aisle are idiots. This is a very sacred and somber responsibility. I've taken an oath of office, my good friend, just like you did. I am concerned about the Constitution just as you are, and I would not engage in any behavior that could be described as idiot. Never in my life or my colleagues have we ever discussed behaving like idiots.
I mean, actually, I didn't call anybody an idiot.
Many people have nightmare stories about a certain boss, but several former staffers to Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee make her office sound like a house of horrors. The Daily Caller reports staffers compared working for the Democrat with living in a dangerous war zone. Jackson Lee reportedly has one of the highest staff turnover rates in Washington, apparently due to marathon work hours, over-the-top requests, and frequent profanity-laden outbursts. Quote, "You stupid blank blank" was like a constant. Some alleged demands included 2 a.m. runs by staff members for garlic supplements, insisting an aide wear a green hat when picking her up from the airport, and forcing her drivers to run red lights and drive on highway shoulders to avoid traffic. Jackson Lee's office repeatedly responded no comment when asked about the story.
To say to my colleagues that I stand here asking us to do what we did not do in Vietnam, was to recognize the valiant and outstanding service of our men and women, and to understand victory had been achieved. Today we have 2 Vietnams, side by side, North and South, exchanging and working. We may not agree with all that North Vietnam is doing, but they are living in peace. I would look for a better human rights record for North Vietnam, but they're living side by side. And God knows the tragedy of this poor person who came on the hill in a black car. No one knows what would drive this person to do this. But what I would say to you is, let's get our wheels back on, serve the American people, bring them back, vote for a bill today that will open the government. I will stay here until we get that bill on the floor. Piecemeal is undeserving.
Why she did it brought investigators here to the Connecticut apartment of Miriam Carey, a dental hygienist. The woman's bizarre driving caused chaos in Washington yesterday, 2 frightening shooting episodes that sent tourists fleeing. A police officer injured when his car smashed against a barricade.
Oh, my God.
Carey's mother says she suffered from postpartum depression after her pregnancy.
We have martial law. What that means, and my colleagues know what it means, is that you can put a bill on in just minutes. I took lollipops along with my colleagues into those detention centers where children were. I wasn't armed. I wasn't fearful for my life. This is not a national security crisis. This is a humanitarian crisis. But I'm reminded of someone, proverb now quoted by Sheila Jackson Lee, cleaning a dirty kitchen. You can't clean it with dirty water. I voted on legislation to help the Sandy Hook victims on many occasions. And therefore, and Sandy Super Strong voted on many occasions. The Sandy Hook vote.
Just so that everybody's clear, we're talking about Superstorm Sandy. That's what we're talking about.
Remember to follow all direction and guidance given to you by the Houston Police Department.
Votes
if you aren't here to volunteer, you're going to
voted on
in the main
legislation for Sandy Hook funding. We thank Governor Crispy, and for those who may be hearing me, if you are in need of rescue, please, Governor Crispy.
Congresswoman kept saying Sandy Hook. She meant Superstorm Sandy, the funding to give relief to New Jersey and New York and all these other places.
Must I die? I stand here as a freed slave because this Congress came together. Are we going to be able to do it today? to free America. I yield back. Don't condemn the gangbangers. They've got guns that are trafficked, that are not enforced, that are straw purchased. And they come into places even that have strong gun laws. Why? Because we don't have sensible gun legislation. And with the short time that I have, I want to make sure that your questions are answered in a yes or no matter. Mr. Chairman, may I have my time restored? I think it was at 4 minutes.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Again, Mr. Attorney General, the question is, did you have a confirmation hearing, and has it been more than 10 years since you testified before Congress?
Congresswoman,
Can the clock be restored?
It was. I'm sorry, what was your, I don't know if your time's been restored or not.
I'm asked a question. Did you have a confirmation hearing, and have you not yet appeared for an oversight hearing?
Absolutely not. Nothing is irresponsible when it comes to the loss of a precious 7 or 8 year old. And as many in the community did, they expressed that it seems to have the criteria of that, which is why I emphasize that the intensity of the community is no less, because the perpetrator has been found to be something other than. But the idea of the question of race has been stated by Bishop Dixon and others that we should engage in that discussion, because it would be the kind of thing that lends itself to thinking, if this description came in however way from a frightened car full of young girls, baby girls, and their frightened mother. Would study reparation proposals, and we would not dictate to the commission its design, but clearly it would be designed for those descendants of slavery. Tragically, 250 years of slavery in the United States, where those enslaved Africans did not receive workman's comp, salary, 401k, or anything, and literally built the wealth of the United States and Europe. That's why it was called the transatlantic slave trade.